So I was going back through some old files on my computer, and I found an old one titled DC Universe Outline. And I thought, the hell is this? I looked at the date, it actually is dated to kind of late 2018, early 2019. And basically I took some time to write down a 21 movie outline for what I thought the DC Universe should be like. Now keep in mind, this is during the height of the Snyderverse. Well, maybe not the height to be precise, but this was during the Snyderverse where there was no end in sight in terms of James Gunn coming around and taking over the reins of the DC Universe. And I think we're gonna see a little bit of similarities here, but I just wanted to take a little stroll down through old memory lane and kind of look at what we have here, and let me know if you like what I wrote when I was 19. Just a forewarning, all of these ideas are probably not that great, but again, I just want to see, what are we looking at here? What are we looking at? Is my DC Universe going to be better than James Gunn's? Who's to say other than yes? So the first note that I have here is actually that all of the core Justice League members are going to have their own solo movie before the team up of the Justice League, and this is obviously because of, what happened with Joss Whedon's Justice League film, originally obviously made by Zack Snyder, and the fact that they just came together after 2 movies and they were like, hey, look, a big team up. So that was a big note that I wrote, but I did say there is not going to be a single solo Batman movie in this entire outline, and that was something I did in particular. Basically, my idea was that Batman would be the Marvel Universe's Phase 1 Nick Fury. Basically, he's coming to get everybody to team up together. That's essentially what he's doing. So the first movie that we have is The Flash, semicolon, yeah, Abracadabra. Basically, the bad guy is, as you would have guessed, Abracadabra. And one of the keynotes of this movie is that it's about basically like the opening scenes are Wally turning into the Flash, right? And or Kid Flash, and it's about Barry training Wally to be, Kid Flash. And it's also about Barry trying to juggle his life and Iris and, all of this other stuff while still training Wally. And yeah, it's just a nice little mentor piece. And this is something that we're going to see a lot of the established heroes that we know already, we all kind of know their stories. I'm basically aging them up into their 30s, kind of mid 30s, so that they have the experience of being a hero. So we're not getting everybody's origin story that you already know, but we're getting something that you don't see a lot, but we'll get there. So the second movie is actually a Green Lantern movie, and this is with Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, and it starts out as a buddy cop with Hal and Sinestro, and basically Sinestro becomes the bad guy by the end of the movie. We all could see that coming, and he's trying to basically destroy the main power source on Mogo, which this is going off of memory, but I'm pretty sure Mogo is just the planet that the Green Lantern core is from and everything. I could be wrong on that, but we're gonna go ahead and say that that's what I meant. By the end of the movie, Hal is gonna be stationed at the Earth sector, and he's gonna develop kind of, his own willpower and sense of justice. That's what he's gonna be kind of battling throughout the movie, and Sinestro's turn from good to bad is really gonna, confuse him on a lot of these things, and that's where the good drama is gonna be. The third movie is going to be an Earthbound movie about Martian Manhunter. That's right, Ja'an Jones. His people are going to be destroyed on Mars, and Ja'an is going to come to Earth, and he's going to be on the run. It's kind of like The Fugitive, essentially, but the people chasing him are going to be people like Batman and Green Lantern and Superman. And basically it's all going to, come together at the end, and he's going to really project his wisdom throughout this movie, and so we're going to see that kind of be adopted, and all the 3 heroes that are chasing him are going to kind of learn what's going on there. But yeah, it's going to be really tense because from their perspective, Ja'an is an invader, and there will be some miscommunications, and that's why they'll be fighting, but it'll be really good. All right, so the 5th movie is our Superman movie, but it's not like a Superman movie you've ever seen before, because the opening scene is him marrying Lois Lane. Within a little bit, we'll get kind of a montage, not quite up styled, but in the same vein of how early it is in the movie. We're gonna get a montage of Lois becoming pregnant, going through all the stages of that. He's balancing being Superman on top of taking care of her, on top of her doing her own thing, on top of her being pregnant, and it's all gonna be a lot. And basically, his son, John, is going to be born, and it's gonna be great. And then the bad guy enters, Mr. Mxyzptlk. Basically, Mr. Mxyzptlk is just there to antagonize Superman and just kind of push on him, because, you know, Superman can't fight him. He's an extra-dimensional being, but it's going to bring him to his breaking point, essentially, on a stress level. And it's all going to come together with Superman returning to, you know, the old truth, justice, and the American way kind of, you know, I am a man and I am a father and I, you know, that kind of thing. You know, it'll be very inspirational, and it'll be kind of a little, metaphor for what fatherhood does to a new father. So the fifth movie is going to be Aquaman, and, you know, it's Arthur Curry doing the old Aquaman shtick. And basically, he's been the king of Atlantis for about 10 years now, since he was a teenager, and he just kind of is done with it. He's like, it's all political. I'm essentially imagining Star Wars Episode 1. Don't freak out. Basically what I mean is the political squabble that makes nothing really get done, and it's not satisfying for the leader because he doesn't feel like he's really contributing anything in his life. Everything's pretty much peaceful there, so it's like, why do I need to be here? So he goes to the surface world. He resigns as king, and he goes to kind of meet his father on land that raised him, and who may or may not have been a little abusive. I don't know if we can work that in there, but basically just a father-son movie. Son kind of coming to terms with who he's going to become in this next phase of life. And meanwhile, there's going to be a power vacuum in Atlantis, as there always is. And then he's going to have to come back, and he'll vow to protect both the surface world and the ocean world and kind of be the uniter between the two. That's our fifth movie. So our sixth movie is a Wonder Woman movie. And I'm going to basically read from here because this is a little bit longer than the other ones. But it says, Diana has fought in both World War I and II and has recently appeared in the public eye after defeating Cheetah in front of a live TV audience, whatever. The bulk of the movie is Wonder Woman deciding between being a public figure and role model for women and helping where she is needed. When Cheetah escapes Belle Reve with other inmates and manages to kill multiple people, Diana realizes that she must be ready to act, not to sit and wait. That's going to be kind of the whole, you know, she's this female-empowered hero, and she does a lot for the public eye in terms of that. But by doing all of this, you know, public image stuff, she's neglecting the reason why people looked up to her in the first place. But all of this coming together with all the villains' releases prompts her to wanting to create a league for justice. And Batman and Superman meet her and come up with the idea of recruitment that Batman has been working on since the beginning because of some larger threat that he's, you know, just really worried about. Not like a dream like in Batman v Superman, but more of an impending anxiety about what's coming on in the future, kind of that thing. But yeah, that's basically the thing. She has the idea of the Justice League, and Batman's like, well, I've kind of been recruiting all these people in the post-credits scene, so... Movie number 7, Justice League War. As the name suggests, this is very similar to the comic of the same name, as well as the animated movie. I got a lot of the ideas from there. Basically, Darkseid attacks Earth, and all of them got to come together and form kind of the Justice League. You know, not formally at this point, but yeah, they fight. But the key difference from the animated movie is the only way to defeat Darkseid is the Flash is going to have to reach his ultimate speed using the infinite mass punch. Yeah, in doing so, he's going to actually disappear from the time stream. He's basically going to re-enter the Speed Force unwillingly, and it's going to be very shocking. And the final image is going to be Iris West opening the door and seeing the entire Justice League behind her, all of them that have been in the movie, holding Flash's uniform, the only thing left of him. Boom, that's the end of Phase 1. So coming into Phase 2, we're going to actually have what I consider the Flash trilogy. Now this is going to be 3 new movies that are based on the Flash, but not Barry Allen's Flash, Wally West's Flash. The first one's going to be called The Flash Rogue Gallery. I forget what his Rogues Gallery is called when they come together, like Captain Cold and, you know, the Boomerang guy, all of those guys are going to kind of come together. But basically, Kid Flash is battling, taking over the mantle of Flash, and he's unable to break the sound barrier. because he doesn't want to surpass the idea of taking over Barry's role. And so it's going to be a very psychologically intensive movie inside Barry's head. Oh, excuse me, Wally's head. Well, there you go, that's part of the problem. But basically, yeah, Captain Cold is going to release a bunch of inmates, and Wally just can't, contain everybody. He can't do it all. And Captain Cold is going to kind of freeze Wally over, and he's going to be like, "Urgh," like that. And he's going to see a vision of Barry. Now, this is probably an onset of hypothermia. And basically, this vision of Barry is going to look at him, and it's going to give him the little talk before the final battle that he needs to be able to become the new Flash. But not the new Flash, just the Flash. So the 9th movie is going to be called Justice League Dark. And this is not a Justice League sequel movie. This is just the Justice League Dark people. I don't know what you would call them. Basically, this is going to have Wonder Woman leading a team with John Constantine, Zatanna, and Swamp Thing, and they're all trying to figure out what's going on with the magical world. And the bad guy, well, the antagonist, is Dr. Fate. Basically, Dr. Fate is trying to reorder kind of the structure of things because he's seeing this rise of superheroes and he needs order. This is unbalanced. This is chaotic. And Wonder Woman learns to become a leader of people who don't want to be led. So that's all good. So the 10th movie is actually Cyborg movie, and we got a lot of this in the Snyder Cut, which obviously came out long after I wrote this, but this movie is about the creation of Cyborg, where he's an athlete who becomes a cyborg, and he struggles with his identity as a person after becoming this, man-machine monster. The bad guy is going to be Brother Blood, and he's basically a cult leader that attracts people through his, cult of personality. And yeah, that's basically going to be like, who am I? What is the answer to that? What is the meaning of purpose in life? And that's the only way that he's able to be Brother Blood. Super simple. So the 11th movie is Green Arrow, and we're gonna meet the Ben Affleck version of Green Arrow in terms of he's going to be a seasoned veteran, about 7 years active, and he's gonna be just like, I don't care about the criminals. You know how they are. Basically, he finds this drug addict, Roy Harper, who he takes under his wing as Red Arrow. I still don't know exactly how that would happen, but it would. And the whole conflict would be over how to treat some of these criminals, because not all of these criminals are violent criminals, but Green Arrow doesn't differentiate. That's kind of the main story in this movie. So that'll be an interesting one, and we get to see him do the famous comic cover where Speedy's doing like heroin or something. Oh, I also forgot to mention that Count Vertigo is the bad guy in this one, and he also I think he sells drugs or something. So that's neither here nor there, but now you know. So the 12th movie is Titans, and this is gonna see Dick Grayson's Nightwing come together with Wally West's Flash, Donna Troy's Troya, Garth's Aqualad, and Roy Harper's Arsenal, and Lilith Clay's Omen. I don't actually know who that is. Apparently I did at some time. But basically this group is formed to take on the things that are too big for any one of them individually, but is too small for the Justice League, and they basically become a mini Justice League. And the bad guy is going to be Blackfire, and Starfire is going to be coming to Earth, and that's basically the thing. We've all seen this before. This is in the Teen Titans show. This is also, I think that's the same plot as the Teen Titans movie that came out in the DC AU or AUE or whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. I'll show a clip up screen. So our 13th movie is The Flash Zoom. And this is because we are going to have the bad guy of Zoom, or Professor Zoom. Well, I don't think it's Professor Zoom. It's Zoom. You know who it is. Man, my arm is tired after holding that laptop for so long. Zoom is going to get powers from the Flash Museum that recognizes the achievements of Barry Allen, who again had been the Flash for many years. And the Cosmic Treadmill is going to be there. He's going to get his powers from the Cosmic Treadmill because he got handicapped because Wally West failed to save him in the last movie during the prison riots and everything. And I don't really want to get into it a lot because I actually thought about this movie the most, but basically Zoom is going to cause Wally's girl, who is Linda, I can't remember her last name, to miscarry their child. And that's going to be a big thing. And his whole motivation is, I want to make you the best hero possible because you couldn't save me and you couldn't save your own kid. So that's going to be pretty damn tough. I would be really excited to see that. I think that would do pretty well in theaters, personally, but that's just me. All right, so our 14th movie is actually Justice League 2. This is the one I'm least excited about because I didn't really know what to write for this one, but basically what I have is Mogul, whatever his name is, the guy of like the World World. The guy who runs this big, terrible planet thing, and he's gonna basically teleport a bunch of members of the Justice League, and they're gonna have to duke it out, or a bunch of people are gonna die. And yeah, it's gonna be more about the interpersonal relationships, as well as for the fans, it's gonna be like who wins in this fight kind of thing. But it ends up with basically Flash and Wonder Woman being the only ones left in fighting condition. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really see much of a substance there in terms of emotional arcs, but I'm sure some other writer could write one in. But that's basically the idea there. And that's the end of phase 2. Let's get into the last phase, phase 3. All right, so our 15th movie, the first one of phase 3, is going to be Batgirl and Robin. Now at this point, Batgirl has been doing her shtick for about 3 years now, and after her and Batman save Tim Drake from some random guys, Tim Drake figures out Batman's identity, and so in the cause of doing that, he becomes the latest line of Robins, I believe the third Robin at this point. And yeah, it's all about him training as well as falling in love with Barbara, because I like Batman Arkham Knight, so I put them together over Nightwing. Sue me. Yeah, they're gonna train, they're gonna fall in love, all that stuff. They're gonna fight bad guys, and then the Arkham Asylum's gonna get run over. Batman's gonna need some people to come in and help, and so he calls up Batgirl and Nightwing, and just before Batgirl can get over there, boom, she gets shot in the back and becomes Oracle by the end of the movie. And then it's a happy send-off between her and Tim. But again, it's gonna be a bit of a grittier movie, just all around. So, I feel really ridiculous sitting around and talking about fanfic to a camera. That just hit me, like right now. I'm also in my pajamas, I don't know if you can see, so it doesn't make it much better at all in my head. All right, so our 16th movie is going to be Booster Gold, and this is going to be a fun little time travel movie where basically this man from the future, he's got a carefree attitude, he's just like and he's time traveling around, but he accidentally messes some things up. And in doing so, he causes just a heap of like problems to happen. So basically, he almost causes all timelines to cease to exist because of his messing around and his monkeying around. And again, we will see that, and it'll be fun, and he'll kind of mess around with world events as well as alien events, and that'll be a good fun and games section. But again, he's going to almost destroy everything everywhere all at once. There's no bad guy in this one. There'll be a little scene where we see him and Zoom kind of battle it out for a little bit, and that'll kind of put up the pressure on him. But yeah, there's no bad guy in this one. It's just him fighting his own demons and correcting his own mistakes, because that's the responsibility he has to learn. So the 17th movie is the last Flash movie, and it's The Flash Gorilla Grodd. This is going to be a good one. Basically, Gorilla Grodd is going to work with somebody in the DC universe who's able to get him a kind of like amplification power helmet, and he's going to put it on, and he's going to be able to mind control every single person on Earth to create peace. Because again, as he sees it, all humans, all they can do is just create war and violence and chaos. And so he basically runs the entire world through mind control. But the only person that he's not able to take control of is Wally West, because his thoughts are too fast. Gorilla Grodd can't like lock on to them. And so basically we get something like in the Kingsman movies where all the people are basically controlled, and they're like hacking in about to kill their own kids and everything. And so Wally has to go into like super slow mode. This is like in that episode of The Flash where like an atomic bomb is about to like explode or something. And so in like the nanosecond of that, before that explosion happens, an entire episode takes place. That's basically what's gonna be happening here. And it's gonna be like, a really kind of brutal movie for Wally. And what he's gonna have to do is, he knows the only way that he can defeat Grodd, because Grodd is just too powerful, is to shoot Grodd into the Speed Force, a la what Barry did in the first Justice League movie using the Infinite Mass Punch. So in doing so, he's going to enter the Speed Force. We're gonna see all this, and his body's gonna start just dissolving into the Speed Force like Barry. And he realizes he's okay with this because he defeated Grodd, his family is safe, he's going to be okay. And then we see Barry, boom, hit him with this little move right here. And Barry is going to appear and he's gonna be like, come on, Wally, it's time to go. And Wally's gonna kind of get back his body, and then he's gonna pull Barry through and the Speed Force, and it's gonna be like a couple days later because, you know, time is kind of weird or whatever. And they appear at a park, and his family's there at the park because they've been waiting for him. I don't know why, but whatever. And we see Wally loses his powers. That's right, in entering the Speed Force and then exiting, he had to leave his powers to bring Barry back. But Barry comes back with his powers, so we at least still have one speedster. So at the very beginning and the very end of all of these Flash movies, the Flash always says, my name is Barry Allen or Wally West, and I'm the fastest man alive. And it's delivered differently depending on the context of the movie and where the characters are and all that. But at the end of this one, he's gonna say, my name is Wally West, and I am the luckiest man alive. Boom. Emotional impact, poof. Just like that. So as you can tell, I'm very emotionally invested in the Flash trilogy. So our 18th movie is another Green Lantern movie called Green Lantern Corps. And this is gonna focus on the new recruits of John Stewart and Kyle Rayner. And again, this is gonna be kind of like a buddy cop movie, except nobody is experienced out of those two. It's gonna be kind of more of like a military movie in the sense of, you know, there's people coming in to train and then they go off and do their own little mission. And in this case, the Anti-Monitor is taking in a bunch of like basically slaves to build his Anti-Monitor machine. And, you know, because he wants to destroy the universe, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. Basically, John Stewart and Kyle Rayner have to hold off the Anti-Monitor for the rest of the Green Lantern Corps to show up, and they just barely overpower him, trap him in his own machine, and it explodes out of nothing. And yeah, we just get kind of like a fun buddy cop dynamic, and we get something a little bit different, and yeah, that's basically that. So for our 19th movie, we have Justice League Dark 2, and this one is going to show our original cast from the first one, as well as Dr. Fate, out of the helmet. And it's basically just going to be that Enchantress comes out, and she's like, I'm gonna wreak havoc on everything. But really what we're gonna see is we're gonna see a lot of, like, kind of like what Scarlet Witch did in Age of Ultron and show everybody their worst fears. We're gonna really delve into kind of the backstory of a lot of these characters in a more explicit way in this movie, and this is again going to be more of a team building exercise with a lot of this, because we're going to see some really bad things that have happened to these people and bad things that they have done, and it's going to be a rectification of all that, and then they're going to come together to defeat Enchantress, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So the 20th movie, the Injustice League. That's right, we're going to have in 3 movies in a row the word league in the title. So in this movie, Lex Luthor is basically, he's fed up with all these heroes. There are too many things going on, too many world-ending events that are happening, and he's like, you know what? It's time to put the brakes on this. And basically, it's a race for the mother boxes, which again, it can be something else. It can be whatever other MacGuffin. It doesn't really matter. But the point is to be able to use this material, this magic or science material, to wipe all of the heroes off the face of the planet and the universe, so that in Lex Luthor's mind, everybody will be a lot safer. As you can tell, I'm losing my voice as I'm going through this. But what he does is he recruits Black Manta, Cheetah, Joker, Captain Cold, Sinestro, and Black Adam. And there can be some others in there too, but basically the whole point is to, not really a heist movie, but more of a chase movie. And the Justice League is going to get wind of what he's doing, and obviously they're like, well, that's not good, because if we're gone, who's going to defend you guys? Not Lex Luthor. So it's a race against the clock to find these mother boxes and collect them until the very end, in which case the Injustice League gains the power of the mother box. Uh-oh, what happens? Well, that leads us to the 21st and last movie, Justice League 3. With the Injustice League having the technology of the mother box, it's time for the Justice League to bring every single hero that has ever been in any of these movies out, because it is a do or die. So basically what the mother boxes do is they create Doomsday, and it becomes an A team and a B team kind of situation, where the B team's trying to get the mother boxes so that they can destroy Doomsday, and then it's the A team kind of taking head on all the heavy hitters. The heroes win, and Superman dies fighting and killing Doomsday. which is done with the help of the B team that kind of separates the mother boxes or does whatever. Again, the MacGuffin doesn't really matter. But when Superman dies, he stays the fuck dead. And then at the end of this movie, the very last shot mirrors the end of the first Justice League movie, in which all the heroes, and I mean every single one that we've seen, stand out when Lois Lane opens her door and they're holding Superman's cape. And that's the end of Justice League 3, as well as the entirety of the DC universe from BF Mofo D. And so that's that. What I figured is at the end of this, maybe like a decade later in our time, they would come back and try a Phase 4. I don't have outlines for this, but there's a Superboy movie, a Titans 2, a Batman and Catwoman movie. That's right, we'd finally get to a Batman movie. Aquaman 2, Green Lantern 3, Wonder Woman 2, and either Justice League 4 or something like the New League or the Young League, whatever. It's basically Titans and Justice League kids. That is my DC Universe outline. How do you think it compares to what we know so far of James Gunn's DC Universe? I mean, personally, I think mine is better because I know what I'm actually trying to write, but also I'm just hypercritical of everybody else's work when I cannot make a single good thing of my own. But let me know what you think. I'm very curious to know. What do you think your DC universe should look like? Or is mine just bad? Do you just want to let me know that mine is bad? I get it. Justice League 2 is probably not going to be that good. So if you like this video, give this video a like. That would be cool. And if you really like this video, go ahead and subscribe. I don't know if you knew this, but when you subscribe, you get your honorary film degree in the mail. If it gets lost, that's not on us, that's on the mail service. I can't help that. But do subscribe because you will 100% get one in the mail, and that would be really cool because you'd have one just like I do back here. But with that, everybody, I've been Kyle, and I still am, and we appreciate it. We'll see you next week.